The Marvel star Tom Holland seems to be living hooked up with you and me in our heads. But do you actually know who he is going out with? And do you know that his life was not as glitzy and marvelous as it appears now? Well, today we will be spilling the tea on Tom's life that you never probably had a taste of. And welcome back to yet another crazy episode of Trend Craze. Before we start sipping on the personal dramas in Tom Holland's life, make sure to subscribe to our channel and stick with us until the last sip of the tea to the climax point. Guys, trust me, it gradually gets really intense, just like the Spider-Man franchise itself. You would be hard-pressed to find a moviegoer who isn't at least vaguely familiar with Tom Holland and his on-screen work. Ever since web-slinging his way into the Marvel Cinematic Universe with his debut in 2016's Captain America Civil War, the young actor has captured the hearts and imaginations of millions of fans around the world as their friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. This British actor is arguably the best live-action Spidey. His lip-sync battle performance opposite pal Zendaya, in which he channeled the likes of Gene Kelly in Singing in the Rain and Rihanna in Umbrella, is basically the stuff of legend. Oh, and he and Robert Downey Jr. FaceTime on the regular. But despite the fame, fortune, and showbiz connections, Holland isn't necessarily the most public celebrity in the world. He keeps a pretty tight hold of his private life, has no major scandals or controversies to speak of, and there's little in the way of Twitter sphere breaking tabloid news. Maybe you know Marvel movies inside and out, and perhaps you consider yourself an expert on Spider-Man's lore. But how well do you know the man behind the mask, Tom Holland? Okay, if you are done with scratching your heads, then please let me tell you all about it. So, while Holland has been on the verge of becoming one of the biggest stars in the world, there's still quite a lot about him that the average fan doesn't know. To help demystify some of his backstory, let's take a look behind the scenes to explore his childhood, career beginnings, and personal life off-screen. Here's what you never knew about Tom Holland. Do you know that Tom is dyslexic? Yes, he was diagnosed with dyslexia at the age of 7, which led his parents to enroll him in a private school. He's occasionally been hounded on social media because of spelling or grammar mistakes, but most of all, he's lauded for his natural acting ability and athletic skill. He isn't shy about telling the world he has dyslexia. The British actor has discussed his learning disorder a number of times, including the endearingly botched Marvel quiz livestream in April 2020. We wrote down some cards so that we could show them up. Holland explained, showing the card to the stream and revealing the words were backwards. What we didn't realize is that on an Instagram live, it flips it around. And I'm dyslexic and it took me so long to write them this way. There's no way I'm going to be able to write them backwards in time, so I apologize. Yet, not everyone in Marvel star's family is convinced of his disorder. In fact, Tom's father, comedian-author Dominic Holland, isn't on board with his diagnosis, writing in a 2014 blog post that while he didn't resent it, if only because it led Tom to finding dance, he didn't necessarily believe it either. Tom Holland's big break isn't what you think it is. Many fans are familiar with Tom Holland's career in Hollywood, first garnering attention in 2012's The Impossible and later landing the coveted role of Peter Parker in the enormous Spider-Man franchise. But even before that, this Marvel star got his first taste of performing in front of live audiences in Billy Elliot, the musical on London's West End. His journey to the stage actually began very young with a Janet Jackson song. His mother spotted him dancing in a reasonably coordinated way and enrolled him in a dance class. In addition to mastering the dance and on-stage movement, Holland's extensive ballet training taught him how to emote in different ways that aren't crying or laughing. Tom Holland's backstory isn't so unlike Peter Parker's. Though dance introduced him to the performing arts and ultimately led Tom Holland to superstardom, it unfortunately also introduced him to bullies during his secondary school days at Wimbledon College. He would dance in the school gym at lunchtimes by himself in tights with a teacher where he had kids looking through the windows, and they all would later mock him. But the young multi-talent wasn't about to let the bullies change who he was or what he enjoyed doing, and he went on to study drama at the esteemed Brit School. I had my rough patches, Holland later admitted to People in 2017. But no one couldn't hit him hard enough to stop him from doing what he liked. In fact, some of his experiences in school helped him relate to the character that would turn him into a household name years down the road. I, like Peter Parker, accepted I wasn't the cool kid at school and just found my group of friends and got on with it, Holland said in an interview. Tom Holland literally flipped for his Spider-Man opportunity. While performing for and performing the role of Billy Elliot in the acclaimed stage production, Tom Holland became quite the little gymnast. In an interview for the West End Theatre, a young Holland described what interested him about acrobatics. Most ballet classes, it's very strict, he said. In acro, we can't just do what we want, muck around a bit, but it's still strict. Like, we can't just do stupid stuff on the floor because we have to be safe. Because you're doing flips and dangerous stuff, it just feels so much more like, wow. Through the years, Holland kept up his acrobatic training, and luckily he did because it seemed to come in handy when the opportunity to audition for the MCU Spider-Man came around. He had always wanted to play this character, and when he found out they were casting the role, he rang up his agent. They gave him 2 scenes where he basically did like a somersault into frame and then a somersault out of frame because in fact thought they may never see this, but if they do, I need them to know that I've got some gymnastics abilities and stuff. And every tape he sent in, he always did a little acrobatic demo to try and convince them to give him the role. Well, it appears that Holland's stunt worked out. Tom Holland's days as an undercover student. Many actors undertake strange projects to either find or get into character for an upcoming film. Tom Hanks, for example, famously lost weight and bulked up for roles many times over, respectively for movies like Philadelphia and A League of Their Own, to the point that he later blamed his type 2 diabetes diagnosis in part on his career-related weight fluctuation. Other actors have gone even darker to prepare for a role. Take Anne Hathaway and Adrian Brody's dedication to their emotional Oscar-winning performances in Les Miserables and The Pianist, which left both stars feeling depressed. When Tom Holland first nabbed the role of Spider-Man for Captain America: Civil War, he opted for a slightly less dramatic route, jokingly suggesting that he attend high school in the United States to learn the American teenager ropes. To his surprise, the team at Marvel jumped at the idea. 6 weeks later, he said on the Graham Norton show, "I'm with a backpack, pencil case, books on my way to the Bronx School of Science, which is a school for genius kids. And believe me, everyone, I am not a genius." Holland was given an identity, backstory, student card, and spoke with an American accent. According to Inside Edition, during his 3-day stint at the school, none of his classmates caught on, despite his best efforts to share his secret. In the end, he revealed his identity to the school's drama class. Tom Holland didn't expect to feel the pressures of fame. Even before he entered the spotlight, Tom Holland knew of the potential industry pitfalls. He was warned about the pressures and the dark delights Hollywood can offer. But then he became Spider-Man, and the sudden, complete invasion of privacy that comes with being a Marvel star changed his views. "It wasn't until I felt the pressure of like, is that person taking a picture of me?" Holland explained. That made him realize his private life was shrinking. Thankfully, he had friends who overcame those same struggles and learned to cope. People like Barrymore, Zendaya, and Robert Downey Jr. Okay, now let's focus our binocular eyes to Tom's love life. Besties and co-stars Tom Holland and Zendaya have dodged romance rumors for years. But in the summer of 2019, the British actor got a rude awakening to realities of actually dating in the limelight. Less than a month after he told Elle that he was definitely a relationship person, he was spotted out with a mystery blonde woman, and the rumor mill went bananas. A year later, he leaned into the public romance. In May 2020, it was revealed that Holland and actress Nadia Parks were in a relationship and quarantining together. Since then, the two have made their romance public, even sharing pictures of each other on social media. Aww, they seem to look really adorable together, and somewhere, as y'all can see, they have the determination to become the power couple. Anyway guys, with all that said, we have spilled some of that unpopular personal drama in Tom Holland's life. Isn't it quite a thing? I mean, very impressive of Tom to grow out of all the odds and come out as what he is today? What do you guys think? Do let us know in the comments below. And if you relished the video, don't forget to give us a like and leave the bell icon on to stay updated. Until then guys,